A sold-out Hillview Stadium in Rosebud, Victoria for the 2018 Big V State Championship Women Grand Final. Game 1 sees the Southern Peninsula Sharks host the Sunbury Jets. Steve Chalmers joined by Craig Freeman for this broadcast. Craig, the joint is packed, the fans are rocking, and I tell you what, there's going to be a theme, fins up for the Sharks fans.
Yeah, it's exciting to be here today. This game was sold out before today. It was sold out online heading into this massive blockbuster. We're seeing two of the best teams in the competition, obviously two of the hottest teams in the competition, flew home in the end of the regular season and have, in Southern Penn's case, have knocked over some higher seeds getting to here.
Absolutely, the place is rocking. It's been a while since the Sharks have played on their own home court. The first team in Big V State Championship history to win 3 consecutive away finals is an amazing feat. The Cinderella story goes on. Obviously, you're on the Basketball Victoria Facebook page, live stream with thanks to Sportscast Australia. As I mentioned, sold out Shark Tank. Sharks, Jets. Let's take a look at the two teams. The Sharks, I mentioned, coming from 5th, 11-7. The last host of fixtures in the regular season they had to win to stay alive. Sunbury, an amazing record in the back half of the season to finish 3rd at 13-5. First and second are gone. The Knox Raiders and the Waverley Falcons picked off by the Sharks themselves.
Yeah, both teams actually beat Knox and Waverley on the way to this game. We saw some brilliant play from Sunbury the whole second half end of the season. Basically, since they have added Karen Harrington to the lineup, they literally have not lost a game.
Absolutely, they rode to the grand final. The Jets picked off Waverley and Knox in their qualifying finals to earn a week off last weekend, while Southern Peninsula have been living on the edge, knocked off Hume City on the road by 6, Waverley on the road by 2, and Knox on the road by 1. And I speak about that 9-point margin total in their 3 finals, back-to-back game-winning 3-point shots nearly at the death.
Yeah, we saw one by Jazz Shalley against Waverley, and then one that Jazz Shalley set up for Paige Price against Knox. They scraped their way here, but we've seen throughout this whole season when they've got all their stars playing, they're a team that can beat anyone on their day, and they've got it rolling at the moment, and with this huge crowd behind them, you wouldn't be surprised to see them take game 1 here.
Just a couple of minutes out from tip, let's look at the previous meetings between these two teams this season. Back in round 5, we were at this very venue, Hillview Stadium. Southern Peninsula 63, defeated Sunbury 62, and there is a lot of Jazz Shelley.
Yeah, she had 27 points, 3 boards, 3 assists in that one. Peyton Little also stepped up with 15 points for Southern Penn. And Sunbury were led by Orla O'Reilly, as they have for much of this season. She had 14 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Sunbury grabbed that one in a close one. And then in round 11, it was Karen Harrington's real first game with Sunbury.
That's right, you touched on Harrington at the start of the broadcast. Karen Harrington entered the lineup round 10, only played a handful of minutes. Round 11 was the true debut. Sunbury got Southern Peninsula by 9 at Boardman.
Yeah, and Karen Harrington was huge there. She shot 10 of 17 from the field, had 31 points. Stockwell stepped up with 22 points and 6 boards as well. Shelley was brilliant again with 31 points, and Little with 19 points, 4 rebounds and 3 assists. Both those games tight one. Both those games, Jazz Shelley had huge ones. So you really would expect for if Southern Penn are going to be any chance, Jazz has to have a huge one here.
Just moments before tip-off, let's take a look at the projected starting 5s. Let's start with the Sharks. Jazz Shelley leads from the front. Peyton Little and Liv Pollard round out the guards. Sydney Coleman, Jamie Lee Pearce. They all play a combined 5, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and there's a lot of 3-point shooting in that lineup, as you see throughout the whole Sharks lineup. Quite an inexperienced lineup. Olivia Pollard's very young. Jazz Shelley, although is an absolute superstar, is quite young, but also some experience built in around that.
You can hear the crowd really starting to rally behind their home Jets. Let's look behind the home Sharks, might I say. Let's take a look at the Jets. Chelsea Burns, defensive stopper, will probably go to Jazz Shelley through the duration of the game. Karen Harrington has been a revelation since entering the lineup. Orla O'Reilly, Josie Stockwell, and Elise Penaluna fills the middle.
Yeah, star-stocked lineup there. A few players who have played a lot of minutes in the WNBL. Josie Stockwell, of course, just picked up a WNBL contract. We're seeing superstars on both sides of the ball today.
So here we are. 2018 is coming to a close. Game 1, Grand Final Series. State Championship Women Grand Final underway. And the Sharks gain possession. Little fires a three to start the game straight away. You mentioned about the three-point shooting. It's there in the first possession.
Yeah, we see Harrington pull down a big board. A bit fitting that that was the first two possessions. We know that the Sharks' three-point shooting will be huge and Harrington will be huge for the Jets.
O'Reilly straight to Burns. There's a three of their own. That one's good. First points of the game. Advantage Jets. Chelsea Burns.
We see all his versatility on show already. One of those players who's big enough to guard any position, but can put it on the floor and score and do a number of things.
Pierce and Shelley was in a pick and roll. It's gone to the corner through Pollard. That missed from three. Burns the rebound. O'Reilly. We're early on. Let's take a look at some of the keys to the game in this contest. The first one is rebounding, and surprisingly, these two teams aren't great rebounders in terms of the competition.
Yeah, and I was shocked to see that from Sunbury, given their size, although we have seen Penaluna play more minutes as the season has gone on, so maybe it was that early season slump that let them down there. Not shocked from a Southern Penn perspective. They're quite a small lineup and get up and down the floor quickly.
Speaking of getting up and down the floor, there's Little trying to take a fast break point, blocked by Harrington. The Sharks will retain possession. Let's talk about pace. You just mentioned the Sharks love to get up and down the floor. The Jets a little bit more contained. These guys, Southern Penn, are a lot quicker than the Jets.
Yeah, they're going to fly up and down the floor and use their youth and athleticism. I wouldn't be surprised to see Penaluna play a huge part in this matchup. She does have a lot more size than pretty much anyone does on Southern Penn.
Harrington forced a turnover, but then O'Reilly just a little bit lackluster and trying to force the issue up the floor, and she's turned it over herself. And finally, the third key to the game is the obvious one. The three-point shooting. Southern Peninsula, 9.2 threes per game, and Sunbury obviously far less than that.
I think it's the obvious one. If Southern Penn don't shoot the ball well from three and get up a lot of threes, they're probably not a chance in this series, but they've been shooting the ball well all season and they're going to continue to get it up.
Pollard lefty hook no good. Harrington away. She decides to pull up, and they'll reset through O'Reilly.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Jazz Shelley guard Harrington, but of course Burns will go to Jazz on the other end of the floor.
Great entry past Penaluna, and I tell you what, at least Penaluna is going to provide a handful inside tonight.
Yeah, we know that's going to be a tough matchup for the Sharks, and really their aim should be to try to run her off the floor. If they can play fast enough and get enough stops that she can't guard them on the other end.
It's going to be a tough night for Jamie Lee Pierce. Hopefully she can use her speed to attack that matchup with Elise Penaluna. Here's Harrington. It's going to be an excellent matchup. Harrington and Burns on Shelley and Little, who's basically playing as a guard tonight in the top of the zone. Harrington for three. That one's short, maybe partially blocked. Burns saves it. No one from the Sharks goes to retrieve it, and Josie Stockel ends up with the ball. Harrington, long three again. That one's short. Shot clock nearly expiring. That was the reason. It looks like a little bit of a nervy start from both sides.
Yeah, it does. You saw Chelsea Burns there racing after that loose ball. That's what makes her so good. She can do everything with the ball, but it's the small things that make her one of the best guards in the league.
Shelley, great baseline pass. Little up and under. That's exactly what the Sharks are going to need.
That's their firepower right there. One guard to another guard. Their two best players. They've been brilliant all season.
Shelley and Peyton Little, the focal points of the Sharks as they force another turnover there. And here come the Sharks. I speak of Shelley and Little, 5th and 6th in minutes per game in the entire competition. They play a lot of minutes this season.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't even check out all game tonight. No game tomorrow, obviously, for both these teams. And I think Southern Penn will go with a bit shorter of a rotation than Sunbury will.
O'Reilly inside to Stockel, had to collect it twice, out to Burns. That's a great look. Second three of the night for Chelsea Burns.
We've already seen Southern Penn really try and put the pressure on early in the Sunbury offense. But as Sunbury have been able to withstand that early pressure, they've been able to get great looks.
Pollard, top of the three. That one's no good. 0 of 3, maybe 0 of 4 to start the contest for the Sharks from deep. Troubling signs. I know it's only early, but they'd love one to go down quickly.
Yeah, they would, especially for their young players. Olivia Pollard, I think, missed 2 or 3 shots, and she'd love to see one go in the net.
Stockel, high post. Sharks in the zone. Here's Harrington trying to attack the paint. Does so brilliantly. Left-handed layup is good. And it is a 10-2 early lead to the visiting Jets. Pierce plays up the option. Shelley, deep three. That may get them going. It doesn't. Tries to retrieve the long rebound. It fumbles out of bounds.
The Jets have identified that a weakness of the Sharks is obviously their interior defence, a lack of size, and they keep going to the well.
And the Jets just in and out basketball. Harrington driving to the paint, kicking out, finding Burns on a couple of occasions. It's working. Here's Penaluna. O'Reilly. Stockwell thinks about it. Burns attacks. 3 in a row. Chelsea Burns.
Wouldn't be surprised to see an early timeout called soon by Jared.
Here's Coleman. What can she inject into the game? That one's long. O'Reilly the rebound. The young Jets, just an average of 19 years of age between the squad. Sunbury 26 years of age, mind you. There's a great turnover. Shelley picks up the loose ball, goes up and under. That one's long. Can't get anything to go, the young Jets. That one's tipped away. Harrington. Burns. Doesn't think about it on this occasion. O'Reilly up and long 2. That one's no good. Penaluna over the back for the Jets. Gets another offensive rebound. That one rims out. Sharks away.
Got to push the ball here. Penaluna slow to get up. And they hold it up.
Well, Coach Hillier just saying, let's slow things down. Let's think about it. Let's make some good decisions. Let's get ourselves back in this ball game. Pollard. Shelley. That's a much better move. And one. Chelsea Burns not happy about the call, but Shelley will go to the line, hoping to spark the Sharks.
That's what makes her such a dynamic player. You saw the quick change of speed there, change of direction, finishes inside with the contact. As Paige Price checks in for the Sharks.
Shelley short of the free throw. Offensive rebound, Little, quick 3. That one's short as well. They're not the answers to fix these problems.
If they start going down, they are.
Well, absolutely, but at the moment, O'Reilly in the corner, inside Stockwell. Stockwell works hard under the basket. They are tough inside, these Jets. That's what's made them so good. They've won 12 on the trot. 10 on the trot, my apologies.
And obviously going for a rare three-peat this year. We've seen why they've been so good for a number of years now.
There's Pearce for 2. We'll touch on the three-peat chances a little bit later on, maybe at quarter time. Here's Burns, decides against the 3. She's already made 3 of them tonight. Let it fly. Harrington, inside Stockwell. They're carving up this zone defense at the moment. O'Reilly, that one's short. Price, acting as a guard. Coleman, inside the Little, back out to Coleman. Mid-range jumper. It's off Burns. Sharks will retain possession. 15-6, the Jets lead.
I know the three-point shots haven't been falling, but also you don't want the Sharks to go away from their guns completely. What's made them so good is this year is pushing the ball and having confidence in anyone to really bring the ball up the court and look for early opportunities. And it's a great crossover there. They're really going to continue to do that and play to their strength.
15-8, much better move. Peyton Little attacking rather than settling for that jump shot. Here's Klitschko, she was entered into the game. Burns inside to Stockwell. She's been camped in there for a little while. You can hear the crowd at Rosebud Stadium. Pollard to pick up her first foul. Shelley, my apologies. Here's O'Reilly. Waiting for something. Klitschko for 3. Another one. We mentioned the Sharks were a great three-point shooting team pre-game. It's the complete opposite in the first quarter.
Yeah, but we've been able to see Sunbury get the ball inside and then have some inside-outside movement that's opened them up early. The Sharks maybe just swing the ball around the horn a little bit.
Coleman to Price. She attacks O'Reilly. Quick hands, active hands, but turns it back over herself. Little left hand, upper under. That one's good.
Little seems to be the only player who can get the ball going inside so far for the Jets, and that one nice move from Jazz before.
She's had a couple of great takes to the left-hand side of the basket. Burns for three again. She's locked in. 4 threes in the opening quarter for Chelsea Burns. Forces a Southern Peninsula Sharks timeout. 21-10. 1 minute and 19 seconds left in this opening term. What do you think Coach Jared Hillview is going to have to say in this timeout?
I think he'd be a little bit angry about them leaving the corner open, especially that corner's been open a fair few times. All has actually missed 2 shots from there, but they wouldn't be happy about giving up corner threes like that off simple one pass from the top of the key.
Obviously the Sharks have been camped in that 2-3 zone for the majority of the opening quarter. Do you think they stay in that? You think that's the best way forward?
The only issue is that with going back to a man is they are undersized at pretty much every position except point guard, and getting out of a zone maybe simplifies posting up smaller players. But if they keep giving up open shots like this, I don't think they can. That they're able to rely on their zone much longer.
The 2018 Big V State Championship Women Grand Final Game 1 on the Basketball Victoria Facebook page with thanks to Sportscast Australia. Don't forget, at about 7:25, the Big V Facebook page will be live with the State Championship Men's Grand Final Game 1 between Eltham and Ringwood.
Courtney Ragg checks in for the Jets and immediately picks up Jazz Shalley. I've seen her play a couple of times at Nationals, and one of the best perimeter defenders I've seen at a young age.
The Sharks come up empty on the first possession out of their timeout. And here's O'Reilly to get things underway for the Jets again. Burns, Klitschko, thinks about it, decides against it. Stockel's been active at that high post in this opening term. Skip pass over to Burns, back inside to Stockel. That gets tipped away by Pearce. Paige Price exited in that timeout for Coleman. She's been injected straight back into the game for Coleman.
Much better communication from the Sharks on that defensive set there. We heard Jazz Shalley calling out a number of switches and calls from the back of the court there.
Ragg tried the back cut. Nice inside to Stockel. Gets fouled from behind. She'll head to the line for 2. That foul on Liv Pollard, her first personal. Josie Stockel, New Zealand international, recently signed in the WNBL for the Melbourne Boomers for the upcoming season.
Joins Jazz Shalley on that roster as another full-time member, and 2 players on Southern Penn also join that roster as development players.
She makes 1 of 2, and that is really sloppy from the Sharks, turned over, and a foul's also been picked up on Jamie Lee Pearce following the turnover. They're coach killers, those ones. Just seemed a little bit lazy with the ball.
Maybe not aware of the defense.
Correct. And O'Reilly just sort of snuck up behind her and pinched that one away. 22-10, 30 seconds left in this first term. Stockel inside. Got great length on that jump shot. We're out to a 14-point lead. Shalley, last possession potentially of the first quarter. Pearce to give aid with a screen, goes through the screen, does Shalley. Little. She's been the only one attacking the rim successfully. That will do it for the opening quarter. Heron's Hail Mary falls just short, may have been after the buzzer anyway. It's 24-12 in favour of the visiting Jets. And I tell you what, Craig, I'm loving what the Jets are doing, just picking apart the Sharks inside.
Yeah, they've bit of inside and outside. We know how strong they are inside, but they're not just relying on that. They're using it to open up other looks. And on the other end of the floor, I think they've rushed the Sharks a little bit. The Sharks maybe haven't gotten into their offense as well as they would like to. That play there was basically the first time where they've run a set and slowed it down and gotten through something properly. And we saw what happened. Jazz got inside, kicked it out. There was another drive inside by Peyton Little, and she was able to finish. Maybe a little more composure needed from the young team. Of course, we do know how young they are.
Yeah, average of 19 years of age, the Sharks, 26 the average years of age of the Jets, so there's 7 years difference just on average.
Yeah, and if you just go through the starting lineup alone, Jazz is very young. They're starting someone who played under 18s in Olivia Pollard. Paige Price played a lot of minutes there. She's very young. I think she played in under 16s this year, so a number of young players, and you compare that to Sunbury's experience. They've got Petaluna, who went through a whole decorated WNBL career. We are Sharon Plichter, very experienced, great player.
Yes.
Chelsea Burns, very experienced. And then Harrington's played a number of WNBL seasons as well.
There's Jared Hillier and his troops just coming out of the quarter time huddle. 12 points down, 24-12 is the opening quarter's score. I'll tell you what, if you've got a couple of moments at halftime and you're looking of something to do, Basketball Victoria's initiative of a coaching podcast, and it's called Talking Split. I'll tell you what, it is extremely important and a great initiative from Basketball Victoria. Rob Coulter and Mike Zeppel, whether you're starting out as a beginner coach or have the most tricks of the trade down pat as a professional head coach, Basketball Victoria's coaching podcast, Talking Split, has a great range of podcasts to improve your coaching credentials. And hey, you never know, you might be in a state championship women's grand final in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, I think Jared Healy is a big fan of this, and I'm sure Kennedy is as well. It really is, even if you're not a coach or maybe not a professional coach, just a very interesting conversation. I think the last podcast, they were going through the perfect Victorian athlete and using professionals in the NBL and the WNBL to sort of mould athletes into. It was quite an interesting listen.
It is. It's a fascinating podcast, Talking Split. Jump online and search Basketball Victoria Talking Split to start listening today. Peyton Little steps out of bounds. Jared Hillier, the coach of the Southern Peninsula Sharks, just trying to get his young troops just to calm down, settle, and as you mentioned, just work through their offensive sets.
Yeah, he's pleading with them at some points in this game. They really do need to show a little bit more composure.
O'Reilly into Penaluna. That size advantage is going to work all night long. The 55 for the Jets. She is a force on offense, Elise Penaluna. Here's Shelley, handoffs. Peyton Little, screened by Jamie Lee Pierce. Kick out, Paige Price for three. Can that go? Rims out, O'Reilly the rebound. Here's Harrington. Penaluna, not going to be doing much at the top of the three-point line. So she decides to try and hand that off. Stockhill, she probably is not the best at the top of the three-point line either. Here's Harrington, picks from Penaluna, screen. That's exactly where you need Elise Penaluna, and a foul has been called. I think that's on Olivia Pollard, and that is her second personal foul. Sydney Coleman will check in for the Sharks. Jamie Lee Pierce will exit. Game one, state championship women, 2018 finals. The Sharks and the Jets. O'Reilly, that's far too easy.
Yeah, wide open shot for one of the most efficient players in the league this season. She shot 46% from the field, shot it at 42% from three. You just can't give her open looks.
Shelley missed but got her own rebound. The Sharks just can't get anyone to get going except for Peyton Little right now, can't they?
It just seems like a little bit of a struggle. I think their main aim here has to be to force some turnovers, get out and maybe try and score a couple of easy baskets in transition, open things up for them. Looks a little bit disjointed right now.
Just got to try and use some of their speed. Like Paige Price would have a little bit of an advantage over Elise Penaluna. She was at the top of the three-point line a moment ago. Chelsea Burns checks in for Rag.
I think we're seeing the challenges. No matter how talented you are with a young team, there's going to be growing pains, and there's going to be moments where they might not recognise what the best thing to do is, especially against a team as good as Sunbury.
Shelley, as the shot clock expires, in fact, it expired before she got her shot off. 28-12, second term, 8 minutes and change left. The 2018 State Champ Women Grand Final Game 1. Harrington Quick dip, she's away, out to Burns. Don't let her open tonight at all. O'Reilly picks from Stockill, she fumbles, regains it, back out to O'Reilly. 10 left on the shot clock. We'll try and decides against the screen from Elise Penaluna, goes the other way, earns herself a trip to the line.
The Shark Tank, as this stadium is affectionately known, a little stunned, a little quiet right now. Really need to provide some energy to this young team.
Absolutely. Sold out. We are absolutely packed in here like sardines. And we heard the noise pre-game. We heard it. It was loud. They were proud, had fins up as the notion was going viral throughout the week. They need some energy right now. Here's Little. Can she provide that? Price decides against the three-point attempt. Out to Pollard. Now Shelley. Just can't find her mojo, can Jazz Shelley. Can that get her going? That one's short. Penaluna the rebound.
Everything just seems a little bit hard right now, and that's really a testament to what Sunbury's doing on that end.
Harrington inside to Penaluna. Can't let her set herself there. Unfortunately for her, that one didn't go down. Little needs to attack the basket. Does attack the basket. Is fouled. And she'll earn herself a trip to the line. Exactly what she needs to be doing.
And she's the only one who's really getting that to happen at the moment.
There's the replay. Peyton Little. Straight to the rim. Right on the arm. She'll earn herself the chance at 2 points. Makes the first one. There you can see the crowd in the background. Absolutely jam-packed as Little makes both free throws. Back to a 15-point game. Stockill, long way away from the basket, as is O'Reilly. Wayward pass. Burns has to go and retrieve it. Another wayward pass. Coleman picking the passing lane straight to the rim. That one is overcooked. You can't be giving those up.
Just one of those days so far for the Sharks. They work hard. They force the turnover. They get a layup and it bounces over the rim like that.
And then you go the other way. It's a 4, maybe 5-point turnaround because O'Reilly's just been fouled as she makes the basket. And as Coleman missed that layup down the other end, I know we didn't have a camera on it, but you should have seen head coach Jared Hillier's face. Disappointment is an understatement. As Pollard picks up her third personal foul, she'll go to the bench. Probably won't see her until the second half. With 6.5 minutes remaining in the second term, O'Reilly executes the three-point play, and we are out to an 18-point Jets lead.
Really got to admire the way the Jets go about their basketball. A number of superstars on this team who in their own right could go to any team they want and maybe average 25, 30 points a game. And yet they work together like this and put aside their own numbers at a number of times.
Another three-point shot not going down for the Sharks. I don't think they've made one all night so far. Harrington, that one's long. Thought she was fouled. Peyton Little doing it all for the Sharks. That one just bounces in. Doing it alone, Peyton Little.
She might be the only Shark who's dribbled the ball inside the paint all game so far.
Harrington, trapped by Price. Penaluna, now O'Reilly. On ball coming from Penaluna. O'Reilly uses it. And that's a shooter's roll if I've ever seen one. And it's just working for the Jets.
Still a little bit too easy. She had all the time in the world to stop and pull up there.
Here's Pierce. Little handoff again to Shelley. Still can't find herself into the paint. Now she does. That one drops. Jazz Shelley, and one opportunity coming her way.
Some brilliant play there. She wouldn't be deterred, kept putting her head down and got inside the paint, felt the contact and threw up a nice soft floater. Need more of that. I think this last 5 minutes is really huge because they have to get this margin down to probably 10 maximum, you'd say. You need some confidence going into that halftime break.
Her second field goal of the evening. She's now up to 5 points with the free throw. Peyton Little obviously leading the charge with 12. The Sharks 0 of 7 from deep in this first half.
And we said that for them to be any chance, they had to shoot a lot of threes and had to shoot them pretty well over this series. So not surprising to see that stat line and see them down 34-19, but I was just about to say, a good little fight back in a few minutes here, but nice shot there, and the Jets tack another 2 on.
Well, that one was a 2, but the Jets, on the other hand, 5 of 8 from downtown. So there's the ball game right at the moment. Price, no good. O'Reilly tries to sneakily just punch that one back on Price, who was out of bounds. It didn't work. But I like that effort. As a timeout is called, 4.5 minutes left in this first half. Sunbury, 36, leading Southern Peninsula, 19. Chelsea Burns, obviously, we mentioned her 4 3-pointers in the first quarter. She's on 12 points, perfect from the field, 4 of 4, of course. Orla O'Reilly has 10 points after that mid-range jump shot. Josie Stockel has 5. Elise Penaluna has 4. And of course, as we mentioned on the Sharks, just the 3 players hitting the scoreboard at the moment. Peyton Little, 12 points, 5 of 8 from the field. Jazz Shelley with 5, and Jamie Lee Pearce with the 2 points. Just 32% from the field, the Sharks at the moment, 8 of 25. And it's pretty obvious looking at the broadcast.
Yeah, and so far for them, it really has been their 2 stars and nothing else. And they either need both of them to absolutely turn it on for them to be a chance, but more realistically, they need a couple of role players to step up. They need to create a few more open shots for those role players perhaps, but when they do, they have to knock a couple down. As we said before, this last 4-minute 30, a young team needs confidence. They need to feel like they can still win it, and you can't go down by over 15 points into that room. It's just not going to be a good sign, and they really need to fight back hard here and maybe go on a quick 5-0, 6-0 run.
And right there is not the answer. You've had a brilliant explanation out of that timeout, and it's fallen apart fairly quickly with the Sharks just throwing it out of bounds. 17 points, 4.5 minutes left in this opening half. You're right though, Craig, the Sharks need to go on a little bit of a run because otherwise this could be over fairly quickly, and if Elise Penaluna can make shots like that, it will be over fairly quickly. That one was a little bit of a bunny. Plitcher inside, Penaluna, soft touch, that one rolls in. That was tougher than the last one she just had.
Just too much size. It's really impossible to block that shot to get a hand up in the face. If she catches the ball that deep, that's a great look from inside. Got to shoot that.
That was a great kick out from Shelley. Back to Little, back to Maudsley. She's been injected in the game to try and provide something. And Rebecca Maudsley gets herself onto the scoreboard.
If I know Jared as a coach, although that final basket went down, I think he would have just preferred the first catch and shoot from 3 in the corner rather than the extra 2 passes and the long 2 instead.
Courtney Ragg back into the game for the Jets. Chelsea Burns to the bench. This is where it starts. It starts with the number 6 in the blue uniform, Jazz Shelley, and she's just got to take care of the ball a lot better than that.
We saw a nice double team there off the pick and roll. Harrington staying with Jazz and the big bringing the help as well. Nice move inside.
That's a great move from Josie Stockel. I think she got fouled on that nice little left turn. Played through the contact. And she's providing a handful alongside Elise Penaluna. Maudsley in a little bit of trouble. Finds Pearce at the high post. Tries to go round. Penaluna blocked.
tried to go around Penaluna. You definitely don't want to try and go over Penaluna because we just saw what happened there. She's been doing that for a number of years.
Just that length from Penaluna, as you saw on the replay screen. 4 seconds left on the shot clock for the Sharks. Coleman out to Price, lets it fly. 0 of 8 from downtown for these young Sharks.
That's pretty much the same spot on the floor where she hit that game winner from last weekend. Obviously that one coming up a bit short. Gemma Simon into the game for the Sharks. We see a tough block call there. The crowd isn't happy.
Love to see that one on the replay screen. Here it is. Harrington into Shelley. The Jets would have loved that one. A nice little technical malfunction, not being able to show the potential charge that they may have gotten away with. Stockel, length. Again, that one doesn't roll in. Ragg works hard on the inside, earns the Jets another chance. O'Reilly from deep. That one didn't go. Shelley, just over 2 minutes left. Another turnover from the Sharks. Here's O'Reilly, open court. Tries to Euro step her way through, does not. Game's becoming a little bit more open now, which probably favours the Sharks.
Not if they continue to shoot the way they have, but...
Shelley, handoff. Is that Simon into the game? 3 seconds left on the shot clock. Shelley finds Coleman. Coleman hook shot short. Just can't find the right shot and execution on offense, can the Southern Peninsula Sharks tonight.
With Simon checking in, I think Jared's just looking for someone who can hit an outside shot. She's a very good three-point shooter, but obviously undersized in a matchup like this as we just see that size on display.
That's a great find by Karen Harrington from the top of the keyway. Straight into Josie Stockel, breaking the defence, forcing Jamie Lee Pearce to come across late and fouling. That is just great awareness from both parties, Stockel and Harrington. Timeout on the floor. And it's not pretty for Southern Peninsula Sharks fans. 42-21. And besides just finding some shots to drop, where's the answers?
Yeah, and we've seen maybe uncharacteristic turnovers from their point guard on the last few plays. I think maybe they're all just questioning themselves a little bit right now. You wouldn't have seen that last week or the weekend before. And Sunbury, really, to their credit, have got them out of their groove completely here. They couldn't have played any better for this first half, in my mind. I think that was a block.
I was about to say, I'm glad we got to see that replay through that timeout, because that, I'm with you, Craig, that's a block. So
I don't think the defender was in the position there.
Great call by the officials. As we come out of Coach Jared Hillier's huddle, back on to the floor. Jam-packed Hillview Stadium, Rosebud, Victoria, for the 2018 Big V State Championship Women's Grand Final. Jared Hillier just having words to the referee. Referee said, thank you, that's enough. No more, thank you, sir.
Two of the best coaches in the league, I think everyone watching would agree. Jared Hillier and Kennedy Kariyama. I believe both have picked up Coach of the Year awards recently.
I believe so. Obviously, Kariyama, a former WNBL head coach, current assistant coach, last year with the Dandenong Rangers, this year with the Melbourne Boomers. Simon in the corner, that one short. Pearce picks up the scraps and puts that one in. And I tell you what, they pump some tunes when the Sharks score, but we haven't heard it too much.
I'm sure they'll be hoping to hear lots more music in the second half. And
that's the
for
first
our
time.
sake and for everyone watching, I hope we do too. Not if you're a Jets fan.
It's the first time we've heard the crowd up and about. They got one of the calls to go their way. It's been slim pickings for the Sharks thus far in the first half. Coleman, Price, Simon in the corner. Can she do better than her first attempt? Not quite. Here's Tidswell. First action, Van Kite as well to end the half. Tidswell, Rag. Van Kite, that didn't go in. Gredham, offensive rebound. Too long in the paint. That was physical.
It was a great fight from both teams there. I know it was 3 in the key on offense, but you've got to love the tenacity to go after that ball there.
The Sharks down 20. Will probably have just the one possession left. That's a great pass from Sydney Coleman to Paige Price.
Just when you said there'd only be one possession, they make it a 2-possession half.
I was trying to finish only one possession for them, but turns out they may get a second if they force a turnover there, which Shelley, unbelievably unlucky. Van Kite out to Tidswell. 8 seconds left, 6 on the clock. Tidswell again. Rag, 2 on the clock, has to heave. That one's way short. Has been fouled. Gemma Simon has picked up the foul, and Rag with half a second left on the game clock. Shot clock had expired. Goes to the line for 3 shots.
I'm no lip reading expert, but I don't think Gemma Simon agreed with that call.
Rag makes the first. It does say time has expired on your screens. We do have half a second to come out of these free throws as Rag makes the second of 3.
One of the new additions to the reigning premiers this season. They had a few changes over the off-season at Sunbury.
Made all 3. And that will do us for the first half. It has not been pretty viewing for the home side and their home fans. They go into the change rooms 25 to the visiting Jets 46. A quick look at the stats before we go to a break. Jazz Shelley with the 5, Peyton Little with 12, Jamie Lee Pearce with 4, and obviously they got those last few points from their bench in Beck Maudsley and Paige Price. For the Jets, Chelsea Burns stays on 12 points. Orla O'Reilly and Josie Stockel have 10 apiece, and Elise Penaluna has the 6 points. Don't go anywhere, we'll be back in just a few moments. Enjoy some of the highlights from the first half.
So maybe lose that early season slump. They've got them down there. From a pen perspective, they're quite a small lineup and get up and down the floor quickly.
Speaking of getting up and down the floor, there's Little trying to
Ball, but it's the small things that make her one of the best guards in the league.
Shelley, great baseline pass. Little up and under. That's exactly what the Sharks are going to need.
That's their firepower right there. One guard
Age between the squad. Sunbury, 26 years of age, mind you. There's a great turnover. Shelley,
obviously going for a rare three-peat this year. We've seen why they've been so good for a number of years now.
There's Pearce for 2.
Look to really bring the ball up the court and look for early opportunities, and there's a great crossover there.
Pearce to give aid with a screen, goes through the screen, does Shelley. Little. She's been the only one attacking the rim successfully. That will do. Little needs to attack the basket, does attack the basket, is fouled. Thought she was fouled. Peyton Little doing it all for the Sharks. That one just bounces in. Doing it. Oh, here's Pearce. Little handoff again to Shelley. Still can't find herself into the paint. Now she does. That one drops. Jazz Shelley.
Block that shot to get a hand up in the face. If she catches the ball that deep, that's a great look from inside. Got to shoot that.
That was a great kick out from Shelley. Back to Little. Back to Maudsley. She's been in. Here's O'Reilly, open court. Tries to Euro step her way through. Does not.
They're going to play more minutes as the season has gone on, so maybe it was that early season slump that let them down there. From a Penn perspective, they're quite a small lineup and get up and down the floor quickly.
Speaking of getting up and down the floor, there's Little trying to
The ball, but it's the small things that make her one of the best guards in the league.
Shelley, great baseline pass. Little up and under. That's exactly what the Sharks are going to need.
That's their firepower right there. One guard
Age between the squad. Sunbury, 26 years of age, mind you. There's a great turnover. Shelley,
obviously going for a rare three-peat this year. We've seen why they've been so good for a number of years now.
There's Pearce for two.
Want to really bring the ball up the court and look for early opportunities, and there's a great crossover there.
Pearce to give aid with a screen, goes through the screen, does Shelley. Little. She's been the only one attacking the rim successfully. That will do. Little needs to attack the basket, does attack the basket, is fouled. Thought she was fouled. Peyton Little doing it all for the Sharks. That one just bounces in. Doing it. Here's Pearce. Little handoff again to Shelley. Still can't find herself into the paint. Now she does. That one drops. Jazz Shelley.
Block that shot to get a hand up in the face. If she catches the ball that deep, that's a great look from inside. Got to shoot that.
That was a great kick out from Shelley. Back to Little. Back to Maudsley. She's been in. Here's O'Reilly, open court. Tries to Euro step her way through. Does not.
They're going to play more minutes as the season has gone on, so maybe it was that early season slump that let them down there. From a Penn perspective, they're quite a small lineup and get up and down the floor quickly.
Speaking of getting up and down the floor, there's Little trying to
The ball, but it's the small things that make her one of the best guards in the league.
Shelley, great baseline pass. Little up and under. That's exactly what the Sharks. They'll reset through O'Reilly.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Jazz Shelley guard Harrington, but of course Burns will go to Jazz on the other end of the floor.
Great entry pass, Penaluna. Stockel, high post. Sharks in the zone. Here's Harrington trying to attack the paint, does so brilliantly. Left-handed layup is good. And it is a 10-2. Here's Penaluna. O'Reilly. Stockel thinks about it. Burns attacks. 3 in a row. Chelsea Burns. Let's get ourselves back in this ball game. Pollard, Shelley. That's a much better move. And one. The left-hand side of the basket. Burns for 3 again. She's locked in. 4.
Which is calls from the back of the court there.
Rag tried the back cut. Nice inside to Stockel. Gets fouled from behind. Probably is not the best at the top of the three-point line either. Here's Harrington. Picks from Penaluna. Screen. That's exactly where you need Elise Penaluna. And a foul has been called. I think that's on. In a little bit of trouble. Finds Pearce at the high post. Tries to go round. Penaluna blocked.
Shot. She's a very good three-point shooter, but obviously undersized in a matchup like this, as we just see.
And they'll reset through O'Reilly.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Jazz Shelley guard Harrington, but of course Burns will go to Jazz on the other end of the floor.
Great entry pass, Penaluna. Stockel, high post. Sharks in the zone. Here's Harrington trying to attack the paint, does so brilliantly. Left-handed layup is good. And it is a 10-2. Here's Penaluna. O'Reilly. Stockel thinks about it. Burns attacks. 3 in a row. Chelsea Burns. Let's get ourselves back in this ball game. Pollard, Shelley. That's a much better move. And one. The left-hand side of the basket. Burns for 3 again. She's locked in. 4.
Which is calls from the back of the court there.
Rag tried the back cut. Nice inside to Stockel. Gets fouled from behind. Probably is not the best at the top of the three-point line either. Here's Harrington. Picks from Penaluna. Screen. That's exactly where you need Elise Penaluna. And a foul has been called. I think that's on. In a little bit of trouble. Finds Pearce at the high post. Tries to go round. Penaluna blocked.
She's a very good three-point shooter, but obviously undersized in a matchup like this, as we just see.
And they'll reset through O'Reilly.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Jazz Shalley guard Harrington, but of course Burns will go to Jazz on the other end of the floor.
Great entry past Penaluna. Stockel, high post. Sharks in the zone. Here's Harrington trying to attack the paint. Does so brilliantly. Left-handed layup is good. Welcome back to a sold-out Hillview Stadium in Rosebud for the 2018 Big V State Championship Women Grand Final. Game 1, which sees the visiting Sunbury Jets lead the home side Southern Peninsula Sharks 46-25. Steve Chalmers, Craig Freeman, here to just quickly wrap up the first half, which was a fairly significantly one-sided first half.
Yeah, we saw in the first quarter it was 12-24 Sunbury's way, and it didn't change too much in the second term. The Sharks getting done again, 13-22. They've really struggled to hit shots from the outside, and for a team that relies on three-point shooting like they do, they just haven't got enough size and haven't got enough to go inside to compensate for that. Sunbury, on the other hand, a team that doesn't rely on their three-point shooting, has shot the absolute lights out.
0 of 10, the Sharks from downtown, and have only got to the free throw line just 4 times, converting on 3 attempts. Where you look at the flip side, the Jets 5 of 9 from downtown, 7 of 9 from the charity stripe in that opening half. As the second half is about to get underway with the Sharks and Sydney Coleman restarting the contest.
Brilliant effort so far from Harrington on Shalley, and also on the offensive end. She's been one of the best players on the floor, maybe the best player on the floor so far.
I've also liked the effort from Josie Stockel on the offensive end, just working both the high and low posts at times, and she's got a really good chemistry with Elise Penaluna.
Yeah, that fit has worked really well. I think that's also a reason why Sunbury took a while to get going. There was some changes, and they did have to change how they played. There's a couple of players who've played together for a few years now, but adding Penaluna and fitting that all in together, that's the second absolute bunny.
About to say, Sydney Coleman misses a wide open layup for the second time, and you mentioned the changes as Harrington makes a turnaround jump shot inside. You mentioned the changes for the Jets. We haven't even touched on Southern Peninsula. They released their first import, Jordan Henry, early on in the season. I think she only played about 4 games. Picked up Sydney Coleman towards the end of the season, and she's taken a little while to fit in, but then she's fit in perfectly.
Yeah, I think she's found their groove really well. To see Harrington finish inside on the nice and one. Really, she fit what the Jets needed, and someone who didn't really need to have a ball, defended hard, worked hard.
She's taken a little while to fit in,
she fit
but
that
then
bill.
she's fitting perfectly. There's Harrington on our replay screen, making every effort count, extending the lead to a game high, 25 points. Make that 26 for the Jets. And as of right now, they are running away with game 1. Coleman out to Little. That one's wide open. Still can't go. 0 of 11, the Sharks from deep. Here's Harrington inside Stocker, low block. Tries to use her left. Great defense from Paige Price. Shelley away.
Jared Hillier opting to start Paige Price for this second half. Of course, she came off the bench in the first half, and we saw there why that might be the case. She's one of the better big defenders, even though she isn't that big herself and is only, I think, 16 years old. One of the better interior defenders. Liv
Pollard, the one she replaced in that starting lineup for the second half. Pollard did have 3 fouls. She's just checked back into the game.
We'll see Coleman check out maybe because of that layup.
Here's Little. Price, Horns action. Here's Price, top of the three-point line. Gives Pollard a screen. Jump shot, that's way short. Just forcing the issue again, the Sharks. Burns to Harrington. Closely guarded. Into Penaluna. Big size advantage every time. Tries to use the strength. Nearly gets it to go. That's Pollard's fourth as well. She is not happy. If you're looking for an update in the state championship men's game, Eltham's 25, Ringwood 21, quarter time. You can catch that game right now on the Big V Basketball Facebook page. Obviously, we love to have your company here, though.
Just open them up both.
Open them up both. Have two tabs running, two screens. There's your night sorted. Big V Basketball, state championship men and women. Elise Penaluna with the free throw. 28-point margin. And you can just hear and sense the frustration of the fans in this building right now. As another turnover goes begging. O'Reilly, that one's a bunny. That one is surprising. Just as surprising as Sydney Coleman down the other end.
But right now we're seeing Sunbury, the team that's showing more pressure. Sunbury's the team that's getting out and getting the easy shots. I don't think that was meant to start then if you heard the music in the background.
Was clearly hoping Price was going to make that three-pointer. Didn't quite go down. They will retain possession, however. 10 seconds left on the clock. Shot clock, that is.
I will say the young fella on the tunes tonight has done an excellent job so far.
Tell you what, just on our screen, I'm not sure if it's on the broadcast, there's a great shot of the crowd just in the low corner. As Southern Peninsula come up empty. Harrington, Penaluna, O'Reilly, great ball movement this one. Stockwell now to Burns in the corner. She takes the drive, takes the contact from Maudsley and puts it in. There's the crowd there on screen. Excellent crowd out here at Hillview Stadium. Shelley trying every trick in her book to get to the cup. Not working in the first half. Maybe successful in the second half. She's been absolutely crucified there. Price nearly banks in.
They've really put a big effort into pressuring Jazz Shelley whenever she gets the ball. No easy opportunities for her to put the ball on the floor to set up plays. I think they've noticed how much of Southern Penn's play is set up by Jazz.
It's been the real focus pre-game, wasn't it? You could clearly see that.
And they've taken her out of the rhythm, which has really taken the whole team out of the rhythm at the same time. And Penaluna hits the deck pretty hard, a little slow to get up. Every time she hits the deck, I do hold my breath just a little bit.
We've got a handful of Jets fans in front of us as well. They weren't too keen about that non-call. Price, high post. Shelley. Here's Price.
They haven't had too much tonight to not be happy about, though.
No, not at all. Maudsley, great take. That one doesn't go, however. Harrington, down the other way. O'Reilly.
When it rains, it pours. We saw another layup there, rim out, and then we see that Penaluna layup, rim in.
Penaluna's been doing that for years. Just that soft touch down pat. Leans into her opponent. Tries to get as much contact as possible. Knows exactly where the ball is. Knows exactly where the rim is. And how those two go together. An excellent display of inside work and inside presence from Elise Penaluna tonight. I've loved the synergy between Orla O'Reilly and Karen Harrington on the outside. And of course, I touched on it earlier, Elise Penaluna and Josie Stockwell on the inside.
Yeah, it's just worked really well so far. As you said, Petaluna's touch has been brilliant her whole career. I think a key for the Sharks has to be, if she catches the ball there, it is impossible to stop her from getting up a high percentage look. It has to be stopping those catches in the first place. It's easier said than done. But there's not enough pressure on the ball to make that entry pass hard, and there's not enough pressure inside pushing the big body out.
We've had a couple of contentious calls throughout tonight's game, none bigger than the Jazz Shelley, Karen Harrington block charge call in the middle. Speaking of refereeing calls, in the bonus, our new Basketball Victoria show via Facebook on Basketball Victoria. Whether you're a player, coach, spectator, or referee, this will be of interest to you. Our technical officials department, with some special guests at times, will put a controversial or tough refereeing or basketball decision up on a Tuesday night and break down all the ins and outs of the call come Thursday. You may see the Josh Shelley call on in the bonus in the coming weeks. It's a great Basketball Victoria initiative if you're a referee and want to develop, or if you're a player or coach wanting to understand calls better. In the bonus, check it out on Basketball Victoria Facebook page, which is right where you are.
Just click the little video tab when this game ends and maybe watch the last one. There's been a few interesting ones to start up, and we'll have a couple more rolling out over the next few weeks.
It's a foul call on the inside on Jamie Lee Pearce. I don't go for long in the bonus. It's a nice, short, sharp clip. Gives you a little bit of a educational video on where basketball's heading in the refereeing department, and obviously if you're a player, you can certainly use that to your advantage.
I think our first clip was on the new travel interpretation, and everyone is an expert on that, it seems, and we got to sort out a few things on that first answer show.
Josie Stockel, a couple of bunnies on the inside for the Jets. Here's Peyton Little's chance. She gets fouled. Sharon Plichter.
Just little things like that when the Sharks are on those shots drop, though. That's an and one, not just going through the line. But again, Peyton Little, the only one who's able to consistently beat her player off the dribble so far.
Interesting young little mascot running around the courts, if you had to pick that up on your screen. I'm sure that was meant to be a shark.
It's a bit... It is a bit of a tough one with both teams wearing very similar colour schemes, the yellow, the blue and the white.
Absolutely had me sold in pre-games trying to work out the two teams. Thankfully we got there. O'Reilly, bit of pressure from the Sharks in the backcourt, which is good. Something we haven't seen for a while. Stockel, she's been hampered, double team. Shelley comes up with the ball. This could be where the Sharks go right. Little for three for the first time. Can't get that one to go. Paige Price, excellent hustle on the inside. Here's Simon, back to Price.
This has to drop.
Can't get one. Coleman the rebound. Shelley decides against it. Spin move, losing it, lost her footing, tried to get it to Coleman, didn't get it to Coleman. It goes out of bounds. And there's no answers for the Sharks right now.
That's how you sum up a night.
That could be the absolute definition of how the Sharks' night has been. That one play. Two really great open looks from downtown. Shelley loses her footing, tries to get it to one of her teammates. Here's Burns. I was going to say.
That would have been perfect for perfect analogy for us.
Absolutely. Price running the floor. This is much better. Little. That's a foul.
Geez, great skills from Paige Price. We see grabbing the ball and pushing it down the floor for a player who has basically guarded centres for them all season long as a young player. Great find and transition there.
Paige Price doing it alone, playing a lone hand tonight, averaging 19 points, 4.5 rebounds, 3 assists through the season.
Peyton Little, I think.
As she did.
Not
Peyton Little, of course. Peyton Little. I was looking straight at her at the free throw line as well. 1 of 2.
Be interesting to see if the Jets go to a few of their bench players here, maybe trying to lighten the load. Of course, there is no game this week after this, but take some minutes off players like Penaluna and Orla, who have played heavy minutes.
Speaking of O'Reilly, coughs it up there. Here's Little. Jets getting a little bit handsy, trying to reach. Price goes to the cup, is fouled. This is where the Sharks are going right. Just starting to get into the game, get to the foul line. Wholesale changes for the Jets. Penaluna and Rag into the game. O'Reilly and Stockill. Sits, which bodes well with your comment just before. making sure that minutes are shared.
Great to see Paige Price put her head down and get to the hoop. They thought about the three-point shot early, but it would have been a deep one. And the way they've been shooting the ball so far, probably the better decision.
Season high 16 points last week in their preliminary final against Knox, including the game-winning three-pointer with 6 seconds left. Here's Burns, Plitchner. Rag, great take, hand-checked by Peyton Little.
You can see Jared Hillier on the sideline yelling, go straight up with his hands up. Didn't need to reach there. Nice take from Rag, though, to get to the hoop.
Peyton Little, second personal foul. Courtney Ragg's second trip to the free throw line tonight. Misses both. Here's Little. Price. Closely guarded by Rag. Jets are in a zone at this point in time. Simon. Hooray!
Hallelujah.
The Sharks are on the board from downtown. It's taken nearly 28 minutes. Coleman tries to poke it away from Penaluna, but it goes out of bounds.
Just in about another 7 of them in a row, and
the dam has finally broken after 18 attempts. The Sharks hit a three-pointer.
And they've had that same look maybe 11 times tonight.
Harrington inside Penaluna. That is textbook.
Too easy. She caught the ball pretty much in the restricted area there. Just a simple cross screen. Ball was served up on a platter for her.
Simon. Now Shelley. Need to spread the floor now. Shelley goes herself. Can't get one. Tries to tap it away to give it to one of her teammates. Succeeds as it goes out of bounds off a Jets player. Just over 2 minutes remaining in this third term. Jets by 26. Little, Coleman thinks about the three. Knows that her team hasn't been shooting them too well. Rag, right down on the floor, getting down and dirty. Here's Harrington. Can't get to the rim.
Got to make the extra pass there if you're Coleman. I think they did have Simon open in the corner.
Is that in the bonus? The Sharks are in the bonus, which is a very good segue. If you haven't been listening prior, that Basketball Victoria is in the bonus. Go and check it out on the videos tab on the Basketball Victoria Facebook page. Then you'll know what we're talking about. Makes both on that occasion. Pollard back into the game, obviously been in foul trouble throughout the night. Tidswell in for the Jets, and we'll see our first sighting of Jess Scannell for the visitors as well. Shelley in and out. Has not been her night. Here's Little. Nice move, left hand. Oh, it does not roll in. Thought about every possible way of going in and then decided against it. Scannell closely guarded by Shelley. Here's Van Kuyk. Tidswell. Two-man game with Van Kuyk. Rag, shot clock winding down. Had to put up a tough shot. Shelley's away, 1 on 3, however. Pollard. Here's Little. Price tries to make the extra pass. Gets picked off. Rag steps on the line.
Once again, just questioning their own decision-making there. A confident Paige Price maybe just shoots that three, puts it on the floor. A little bit of doubt.
Shelley. Kicks out to Pollard. Left, blocked by Penaluna. Tidswell stripped by Shelley. Everyone on the deck. Southern Peninsula ball.
Great block from Penaluna here.
Absolutely. And then the hustle from both sides. Shelley stripped. Tidswell may have been thrown out off Shelley, but
what just happened?
And just at that time, it's Sunbury ball. Here's Scannell. Clock winding down, under a minute left in this third term. Great defence by Liv Pollard. Brings up a turnover. Peyton Little picks it up. And now you start to hear the crowd get into the game. Team this season, but not with us tonight, over in college.
Yeah, and I think the Sharks making this versatility on the wing, a little more size than a couple of these younger players have. Although it is funny when you think about her being a veteran on a team when she's off to college.
8-second backcourt violation, a glimmer, and I call it a glimmer of hope for the Southern Peninsula Sharks. 15 seconds left in this third term. They're down 25. Little, Price, Shelley. Last possession of the third term. Shelley out to Price. Puts Penaluna on skates. Great shot, Paige Price.
Paige Price turning it on a little bit. We saw this last week. Timeout.
That will end the third term. The Sunbury Jets 61. The Southern Peninsula Sharks 38. I'll tell you what, the Sharks haven't improved their offense too much in the third term, but they've certainly lifted the defensive intensity, only holding the Jets to 15, obviously 24 in the first, 22 in the second. Just the 15 in the third. They
still did lose that quarter, unfortunately, 13-15. They had to make a big inroads there. This is going to be a very, very tough challenge just to even make it a game, let alone come back and win. But there's plenty to build on. You make the trip to Sunbury next week. You win game one and you get into a game three and it's anyone's game.
You can see the little kids out at Hillview Stadium. Fins up has been the hashtag for the Sharks. Go Jets has been the hashtag for the Jets. We can't forget about them as the series shifts to Sunbury and Boardman Stadium next week. Saturday night, game 2.
See Kennedy Kariyama on the screen. I reckon on the whiteboard he just wrote, more of the same.
Speaking of game 2, tickets now are on sale at Sunbury, Boardman Stadium. If you want to buy some tickets, bit.ly, that is bit.ly/SUNSPG2, standing for Sunbury, Southern Peninsula, Game 2. bit.ly/SUNSPG2. Head there, get your tickets. I'm sure Boardman would be just as loud as we are here tonight at Rosebud Stadium.
Great to see so many teams being forced to sell tickets beforehand because they're getting sellouts. This hasn't been happening regularly over the past few years, so it's a real sign of the growth and in fans the associations have got.
Absolutely. The Southern Peninsula Sharks get us back underway. Fourth and final quarter. The Sharks down 23. They'll need to make a run fairly early in this quarter, and it starts with Peyton Little.
Doing what she's done all day for them, just tried her heart out so far, getting in the paint. Nice finish inside with the float up. We see Jared Hillier sticking with the lineup that worked a little bit at the end of that. Gemma Simon out there for some shooting, Paige Price out there as well.
I know you've touched on it in that third quarter, but you've got to be impressed with the way Paige Price has gone about it tonight. Some positives for the Sharks.
Probably the youngest player on the floor. Her on cue. Panaluna reaches over the top and blocks that one out of bounds. But she has looked good on both ends of the floor so far. And this season as a whole has been a shining star on the youth of basketball in Victoria. This Sharks team thrown together with a bunch of young players and just compete game in, game out.
I don't know if you caught just the end of that Jets possession. I know we went back down to the Sharks end, but Chelsea Burns didn't come up too well. I think bleeding from the nose, certainly took a hand to the face. She's been subbed out of the game to be taken care of. Just making sure that all is well, and we're back underway. Rag doubled. And again, Harrington, great cut to the paint, great pass out to Orla O'Reilly, long two. That's brilliant by the Sunbury Jets.
Brilliant execution. They knew where that pass was going before Orla was already in the spot.
And travel being called on Gemma Simon. She is bemused. When it rains, it pours for the Sharks, let me tell you. In their first ever state championship grand final, it's probably going to be one to forget. O'Reilly too easy, that back cut there. Stretches the margin back out to 25. Here's Little. Kicks out, finds Price in the corner. That one's long.
We spoke just before about Abby Noblet missing for the Sharks. Of course, Sunbury themselves having a player stop playing during the season as Penaluna gets fouled. Their starting point guard, Monique Stevens.
Of course, which is where they found a handy replacement, obviously, in Karen Harrington by round 10. And that inclusion has been none less than a masterstroke, because they haven't lost since she's played a full game. And they're well on their way to being 1-0 up in a best-of-3 championship decider. Elise Penaluna at the line. She's had a very handy game as she splits the pair.
You've got to like the way Sunbury have brought Penaluna along slowly this season too. She came off the bench a lot at the start of the season, didn't play huge minutes and really stepped up her workload. Great steal from Harrington. She has not stopped all night and gets the easy two on the other end.
There's been some costly turnovers for the Sharks throughout tonight's game, let me tell you. They've obviously only had, in fact, they've had 16 turnovers to this point. Make that 17 as Peyton Little just goes walkabouts. For the Jets, Burns 14, Penaluna 14, Orla O'Reilly 14, Stockhill 10, and Karen Harrington has 11. So all starters are in double figures. None of them have gone right off the chain. They've all been super consistent.
And they've all been very efficient as well. We see Karen Harrington with 4 steals as well, and if you don't mind, a plus 32 on the game.
Make it another 2 points for Karen Harrington as well, as she puts on a tough move inside.
13 points, 5 steals, 4 assists. She's really done everything so far today.
Stretches the lead to a game high, 31 points. Here's Price. Shelley, they've absolutely locked her down well and good tonight. Simon. Little. Lani Thornton into the game as well. For the Sharks, here's Harrington just getting around a couple. Now getting inside the paint. Tries to kick it out. Tapped away.
31 points, the margin now. I wonder when Jared Hillier says, okay, we need Jazz and we need Peyton for next week.
Timeout on the floor in favour of the Jets. Kennedy just talking things over just to make sure let's keep our composure. We're 31 up, 7 minutes to go. We don't want to do anything ultra stupid. And you look at some of these highlights, I mean, they've been really costly turnovers for the Sharks at key times. And of course, a lot of Jets points right in the paint. There's another one of Harrington's, her most recent bucket. It's been a lot in the paint for the Jets, and obviously that's led through Stockill, through Penaluna, and then the aggressiveness from Karen Harrington.
Yeah, and it's really opened up their shots from all around the arc as well. And the Sharks just haven't had an answer for anything Sunbury have thrown at them. They haven't been able to stop the three-point shots. They haven't been able to stop the dribble penetration. Penaluna's getting position whenever she wants, and they need to search for some answers before next week.
Well, game 1 nearly in the books. You mentioned next week, game 2, potentially game 3. The series shifts to Sunbury, Boardman Stadium. Game 2, Saturday night, 7 p.m. Here's Harrington. O'Reilly tries to find Stockill, does inside, blocked by Shelley. Klitschda.
Peyton Little copped a knock to the face just then in that tight tussle.
And off ball, you mentioned Little copping one to the face. On ball, Gemma Simon picks up her 3rd personal foul. O'Reilly, top of the 3, thinks about it again. Now has Rag, great take, far too easy.
Way too easy there.
Just had Lani Thornton wrong-footed, understood it too, and just went straight to the rack. Shelley, that one was probably her best look for the night. That one didn't go. Harrington down the other end tries to bully her way down there and succeeds. Timeout, Jared Hillier and the Southern Peninsula Sharks.
Not much Gemma Simon could do there. She's probably had a few less days in the weight room than Karen Harrington, and
you saw it there on the replay screen, just taking a little bit out of her AFLW days. Was Karen Harrington.
I think you've got to show some realism here and maybe pull the pin on your 2 stars if you're the Sharks. The last thing you want is someone to get knocked up now.
As you can see on our screen, some of the Southern Peninsula juniors still having a fantastic old time down the Shark Tank. Kennedy Ketiyama still rallying the troops just to make sure we finish off this game in the right way to take some confidence and build that momentum into game 2. While on the other hand, Jared Hillier still keeps Jazz Shelley and Peyton Little in the ball game. Which is interesting because I tend to agree with you. Obviously, a large margin, 35 points is the margin with just over 6 minutes left. When is that point to go, you know what, we're going to be fighting another day because tonight has not been our night.
Although you could still be trying to figure out things that will work next week, and if that's the case, you do need your players that are going to play next week on the floor.
Shelley, back out, Pearce. Now Coleman, long 2, got one. "33 points, Van Kuyk. Now Tidswell. Rag, wide open for 3. That one doesn't go. And Shelley up the other way. Nice crossover, that one's short. Here's Rag. Tidswell inside, Van Kuyk fouled by Jamie Lee Pearce. And I tell you what, I don't know the actual stats of the personal fouls, but it does feel like the Sharks have had the fair share of fouls. Obviously 3-0 in this fourth term. 17-8 is the statistic. So it's not just perception.
I don't feel like it's been a heavy whistle, though. I feel like the Sharks just haven't been able to, you see a three-pointer knock down there. Sharks just haven't been able to get into position defensively well enough to stop fouling.
Yeah, correct. I don't think they've been wrong. I'm not saying that. I just think you're right. The Sharks have just had a lot more of the calls. Little. Under 5 minutes left in this game now. Out to Coleman. Long two again. That one's short. Van Kite the rebound. And you even look at, we spoke about the Sharks. When do they start to pull the pin? Let's look at the Jets on the other hand. Obviously they've got Van Kite out there, Rag, Tidswell. Karen Harrington's played a lot of minutes tonight. When's potentially the option just to say, you know what, we'll rest her up for next week after she hits that another three.
And she seemed to like that one too. Had a little bit of a celebration. They'll look towards the bench as we do see Kennedy actually call for a sub. So maybe that's enough. Maybe he's called it just there. I guess we'll see here.
Could be the one as Molly Gredham
Gredham checks in
into the ball game alongside Liv Pollard. Sydney Coleman, Josie Stockwell check out respectively.
Although Harrington has only played she's played the 32, which is a lot, but Shelley hasn't checked out yet, and I think Peyton's played a little more than that as well. She stays on the floor, though.
Okay, correct. Harrington, yeah. Greenham checked in for Stockwell during that free throw break. Here is Harrington on cue. Now Tidswell, Rag in the corner. Back to Tidswell, inside, Greenham. Maudsley the rebound and is fouled by Van Kite.
You would assume Harrington, one of the fittest players in the league, though. Maybe she likes the extra minutes. Also a player that didn't play much basketball before the halfway point of the season, so maybe it's just about getting as many reps with the team as possible.
Correct. I don't think there's many basketball players out there that wouldn't love the extra minutes. Here's Pollard. Little in the corner for three. They've been asking for that all night long.
In Little's fairness, she has been the most consistent form of offense all game from the first quarter onwards. As we see her on another fast break.
Little, left hand, not to go, tries to get the offensive rebound. Bodies fly, Harrington ends up with it. Freedom. Back out, Harrington. Had a lot of the time with ball in hand. Van Kite falls into trouble, puts Pollard on the floor, then gets an open look. That one's short. Simon, that one didn't go. And they have shot an absolute barrage of three-pointers tonight, as expected. Just 2 of 22. Changes for the Jets. And we wind down here, of course, just over 2 minutes left in this ball game. And obviously both teams right now are probably looking ahead to game 2. What changes? Are there any changes? Obviously Sunbury side, they're going to say, you know what, we played pretty well tonight. We're going to be doing more of the same back at home. We're going to have our home crowd behind us, trying to lift the championship banner in front of on home deck. The Sharks?
For the Sharks, I think, first of all, you hope / expect you can't shoot the ball this badly again. But there's still a lot of other things they didn't do well. If this was a 10-point margin and they shot it badly from 3, you can say, okay, maybe we do the same thing, we shoot a little better. But they haven't, they seem rushed on offense. They haven't found an answer when Shelley has been trapped and they've had to get the ball out of her hands. They haven't found enough people who can get the ball inside, especially once Shelley hasn't had the ball. It's really been Peyton or nothing getting the ball inside.
And the call has been answered. Jeff Shelley checks out for the first time in this ball game. But you're right, just some of the costly turnovers from the Sharks have led to really easy Jets buckets. There's also been other times where the Jets have found offense far too easy. Harrington from deep, that one doesn't go. Extra opportunity through Rag.
I think another big thing is pretty much everyone who Sunbury has thrown out there has played their role really well. And the Sharks just haven't gotten enough from role players. They haven't been able to hit shots, which is a big thing, but also on the defensive end, I think a few people have been exposed. Maybe as a team, they've been torn apart a couple of times.
Here's Pearce, her bank shot a touch too hard. Harrington decides against going up 1-on-4. Freedom, Tidswell. Back to Harrington. Rag. Skip pass, Harrington. Pick from Plitchner, breaks the double. And she'll earn herself another trip to the basket, to the free throw line, no basket. And with 41 seconds left on the clock, Coach Kennedy Ketiyama has decided, you know what, I think now's the time we're going to sub Karen Harrington.
After the free throws.
Obviously after. I was going to say making free throws, but on cue, didn't make the first.
Well, if you miss them, you get to stay out there. Oh.
Karen Harrington's night is done. An excellent outing for her. The 36 minutes, 19 points, 7 of 11, 4 assists and 6 steals.
It's a brilliant all-round game on both ends of the floor. Probably she was, I think we expected Burns, but it ended up being, she was probably the main defender on Shelley and caused her a lot of issues tonight.
Another call doesn't go the Sharks' way with just a handful of seconds. It's a 31-point ball game. It's expected that Courtney Rag can extend that margin before the final horn. Very quiet Southern Peninsula crowd now, stunned after a Game 1 defeat. And it's not just a defeat, because a 33-point margin tells the difference. And they will now go to Sunbury and attempt to do the unthinkable as Price tries to go to the rim, does not get a call, and will foul.
Sunbury have barely lost 2 games at home in 3 years, let alone 2 games in a row. So it is going to be a tough challenge, but the Sharks at their best can beat anyone. We said that at the start of the day, and they've got to take that confidence into next week. The Jets, they should be full of confidence. They've put on an absolute display. I think this makes it, they won 11 straight to finish the season, was it?
Eight straight to finish the regular season, then obviously knocked off Waverley and Knox respectively to reach the grand final. So 10 straight wins. This will be the 11th straight win, and obviously to do it in 2 games, they can win 12 straight games and win the championship. And that'll do it from Hillview Stadium in Rosebud, Victoria. The 2018 State Championship Women Grand Final Series, Game 1. Advantage, Sunbury. They win 85 to Southern Peninsula 50. It was absolutely textbook from the Sunbury Jets, from pillar to post. They started off with Chelsea Burns on fire in the first quarter, They then got points through Josie Stockel and Elise Penaluna inside. Karen Harrington was the star in the second half. And there you can see on screen the Jets huddle extremely happy. They're one game away from a championship. They're third in a row.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant display of basketball. Clinical from the Jets. They took advantage of every strength they had. And nice to see, a tough game from the Sharks, but nice to see them stick on the court and give a big shout out to their fans who did a very good job in turning out in droves and provided great support tonight in the Shark Tank. Wouldn't be surprised to see a fair few make the trip across to Boardman Stadium. Also expect to see it packed out with Sunbury fans.
Absolutely. Expect a sold-out Boardman Stadium on Saturday night, September 1. Let's take a look at some of the game stats from this before we have to go. Karen Harrington, we mentioned in the fourth quarter, she led the way. 19 points, 4 assists, 6 steals, 7 of 11 from the field. Orla O'Reilly, Elise Penaluna and Chelsea Burns all finished with 14 points. Penaluna the double-double with 12 rebounds to go with her 14. Josie Stockel had 10 points and 7 rebounds. Off the bench, Courtney Ragg was efficient from the free throw line. She had 7 points and 3 rebounds. Was very effective off the bench. For the Sharks, well, it was a one-man band. Peyton Little did it all. 22 points, 8 of 17. She had 7 rebounds and 4 steals. Jamie Lee Pearce had 7 points. Paige Price off the bench, we spoke about her throughout the game, had 9 points and 5 rebounds off the bench. It wasn't Jazz Shalley's night, just the 5 points, 2 of 11. She had 5 rebounds, 2 assists and 2 steals to go with that. If you've still got a little bit more time on your hands tonight, make sure you head over to the Big V Basketball Facebook page. There it is on your screens now, Big V Basketball. You can catch the final quarter or the final moments from Eltham and Ringwood State Championship Men Grand Final Game 1. Hopefully we can have your company again either over there or next week, as we'll be live streaming both games as they head to Sunbury and Ringwood respectively. That's us done from Hillview Stadium in Rosebud, where we've seen Sunbury put on an absolute clinic and go one game closer and one game away from an historic three-peat. Division 1 women in 2016, state championship women in 2017, and obviously lead the 2018 Grand Final Series 1-0 with the 85-50 obliteration of the Southern Peninsula Sharks. We hope to have your company next week, next Saturday, 1st of September. Coverage starts from 6:55 at Boardman Stadium. But for tonight, from Hillview, it's good night.